Hi and hello. I hope all is well with you wherever you are in the world today, and welcome. I have a few things I need to do to kick this off. Now, since my monitor broke, I'm unable to have a screen to see if this is truly centered. So what I'm left with as a result is going back and forth to my living room and seeing if that on the TV screen is good. And I'll have to make adjustments from there. So let's go have a look and see just how this thing appears. Now, I apologize for this, but since the weekend began, hey, you know what? That's not too terribly uncentered. I could just sort of move it a little bit to the left, and that will, on the left-hand corner, I'll just sort of tink it down a little bit. And I think that's actually going to be pretty good. Right on. I'm actually pretty happy with myself for getting it close to center. Okay, so I'd like to draw your attention to the top center of the board game, if you will, and notice the new sign says like and subscribe. So please, if you could be so kind, like and subscribe and share with your friends. I will just sort of bring this down like that, this up like that, and I think that's going to look really good. I'm super excited for this. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I like that. If anything, I'll just bring it down a smidge more, only so everybody can see every card in the Imperium row. And that really is going to be all it's going to need. So I apologize again that this has to be done this way. It seems a little crude, I know, but I am saving for a computer right now. Keep that in mind. Yeah, that's pretty good. Excellent. Okay, so with that being said, sorry for the late start, the awkward beginning. It should be better next time since it's all centered now and ready to go. Okay, let's get this thing rolling. So, let's see. Sorry for that. All right, let's just begin at the beginning, shall we? Let me do my introduction as I have already done, but this time I'd like to do it correctly. Actually, we're not ready yet. Okay, now we are ready to go. Last week on Monday, I took that day away from playing this game so I could figure out my camera situation. And this Monday, I'll be able to pick up where I left off and have a regular flow of games yet again. So last week, I was only able to do one game. This week, I'd like to try to do 3 or 2 to kind of make up for it. So, all right, here we go. Late start, but here we go. Hi and hello. I hope all is well with you wherever you are in the world today, and welcome. This is Dune Imperium, and I am Admiral Trench. I would like to ask everyone watching this to please like and subscribe. It only takes you a second to click those two things, and share with your friends, anyone you know who might be interested in board games. This is a great way to pass the time. I, for one, enjoy listening to people play solo board games frequently. I know other people do it as well. So I narratorize everything I do throughout the course of this game to the best of my abilities, and I play this game pretty well. I played at Kwisatz Haderach level difficulty against House Hagal. So to get things started, for anyone who may not know, when you play at Kwisatz Haderach level difficulty, it is the hardest difficulty you can play at. The rules are as follows. Every time my opponent gets 7 Solari, they get a victory point. Every time my opponents get 3 waters, they get a victory point. Every time they get 3 intrigue cards, they get a victory point. Instead of collecting 7 spice, they hoard spice as per the expansion so they can buy tech tiles. They begin the game with 1 intrigue card each and 1 water each. I begin the game with no resources at all. I'm also not allowed at any time to buy a Swordmaster. That's a third agent. I am allowed to use the Mentat space, but it costs me 5 Solari, not 2 Solari. And on the third round, my opponents get their Swordmasters. And that's pretty much how Kwisatz Haderach level difficulty works. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the Imperium Row, where we're going to get this thing started. We begin with Missionaria Protectiva. For 1 persuasion, it allows you to go to blue spaces, and if you have another Bene Gesserit card in play, you get to move a faction of your choice up by 1, and it gives you 1 persuasion on a reveal phase. Carry All for 5 persuasion only lets you to travel to yellow spaces, but it doubles the base, not bonus spice, you harvest with this agent. And it gives you 1 persuasion and 1 spice on a reveal. Space Travel. For 3 persuasion, it's a Spacing Guild card. It lets you go to Spacing Guild spaces and lets you draw a card. It gives you 2 persuasion on a reveal phase. Gene Manipulation for 3 persuasion. It's a Bene Gesserit card. It lets you go to green and blue spaces. You get to trash a card. And if you have another Bene Gesserit card in play, you get 2 spice. It gives you 2 persuasion on a reveal phase. Spiritual Fervor for 3 persuasion. It lets you move your researcher track by 1 when you purchase the card. It only lets you go to triangle spaces. It gives you a specimen to put into your Oxalotl tank, and it gives you 1 persuasion on a reveal phase. All the way to the Twi'leksu row to the right-hand side, we have Contaminator for 1 specimen. It lets you go to Fremen spaces, and you get to move your Twi'leksu tracker by 1. Gives you 1 persuasion on a reveal turn. Base Dancer for 2 specimen. It is an Emperor, Spacing Guild, and Fremen card. It lets you go to Emperor, Spacing Guild, and Fremen spaces. It's a grafting card, however, but it lets you draw a card when you use it, and it gives you 1 persuasion on a reveal phase. Now, all the way down here to the planet Ix. That's this space over here. We're going to look at Wind Traps for 2 spice. It gives you a water when you purchase it, and when you win a conflict, you get a water. Look out for that one. You don't want your opponents to get it. Training Drones. Tap the tech tile. Generate a troop to your garrison. Flagship for 8 spice. It gives you a victory point upon purchase, and you tap the tech tile. You spend 4 Solari. You generate 3 troops to your garrison. All right, everyone. With that being said, today I am Earl Memnon Thorvald. I'll be playing against Viscount Hundru Moritani and Prince Rumber Vernius. I will go first. Let's begin by revealing this conflict. We begin with a skirmish for 1 Chom tracker for first place and a troop, and 2 spice for second place in the conflict. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. If you want to go into combat against House Hagal in the first few rounds, you are going to have a bad time. It doesn't ever pay off, and the winnings are kind of small anyway, so it's just not worth it. So with that being said, let me draw my 5 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can get this game rolling, shall we? Looks like I've got, okay, this is not a bad way to start the game. 2 convincing arguments, diplomacy, experimentation, and a reconnaissance. So let's see here, I'm at 3, 5. I'm still starting at 7 persuasion. That means that my next hand is going to have the 2 daggers, where I'll have almost no persuasion next round. So what do I want to do to kick this off? Oh, goodness gracious me. Let's see here. I'll probably use diplomacy to go to fold space and experimentation to go to smuggling. I'd like to attempt to get a high council this game, considering I'm Thorvald. I need to get that high council so I can move a tracker up by 1. So I'll use my experimentation out of the gates. I'm going to take smuggling, and what that's going to allow me to do, of course, is take my agent, bring him over here. I take 1 Solari as a result of that space, and I move my Chom tracker up 1 on the Chom track. Now, because I used experimentation, it reveals a researcher track symbol, which means I get to move my researcher tracker up by 1, which, as per the space commands, I put a specimen in the Oxalotl tank while it waits for further commands. With that, the end of my first agent phase is done. We go to Moritani. He's going to go to Arakim. So he takes his agent, plops him right over here. He generates himself a troop, and he uses his Signet Ring ability. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have one spice, so he cannot move his Chome tracker. But he is in a combat space, so he puts in not one, but a total of 3 troops into combat, which puts him at 6 combat points to kick the first round off. Now we're going to go to Vernius, and what does he want to do? Smuggling. He can't go to smuggling. I am at smuggling. So he'll have to reveal another card. Conspire for him. He goes all the way up here. He moves his Emperor track up by 1. He generates 2 troops from his supply to his garrison, but he does not enter combat yet because he's waiting to see what will happen next, and he's not in a combat space. So with that being said, we move to my next turn, and I said I wanted to take a fold space, and yes, I'm going to do that still. Let's see here. I'm at, after using my previous card, I'm at 6 persuasion. After I go through this round, I'll be at 5 persuasion. So I'm going to use my diplomacy. I'm going to go to fold space. I'm going to move my tracker up by 1, and I'm going to take a fold space card and put it in my discard pile over to the right-hand side of the board. Now, with that being said, we go back to Moritani. This is officially Agent Phase 2 now. So Moritani will go to Carthag as if he wasn't gunning enough for this victory in this combat. He generates himself a troop from his garrison, from his supply to his garrison. He pushes in not 1, but all that remains of his troops, which is a total of 2 more troops, 8, putting him at 10 total troops, 10 total combat points, I should say, and he pushes his Twi'leksu tracker up by 1 as per the card commands. And then we go to Vernius, and what does he want to go to? He wants to go to tech negotiation. He will not be getting involved in this combat, and that means that Moritani will be unimposed in this combat. So what happens for Vernius? Well, let's see here. He gets -1 spice off the cost of a tech tile, but he doesn't have any spice. So with that, he just takes a negotiator and puts that negotiator to the planet Ix in the tech negotiation space to reduce the cost of a future tech tile down the road. And that's what happens for him. So with that being said, we go to my reveal phase where I have 5 total persuasion points. What do I want to do with 5 total persuasion points? You know, I'm thinking about it. I think I could get Cariel. That's a cool card. But I also could get Spiritual Fervor. That's also kind of like, that's been pretty good for me in the game. When I've used it before, it's worked out pretty well because it's kind of like having an experimentation card. It's sort of a half experimentation card. And you know what I could do down the road is maybe I could just trash it out later. But for now, that is what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to buy Spiritual Fervor, and yes, when I do that, I automatically get to move my researcher track by 1. I'm going to move it downward and move my Twi'leksu tracker up by 1. Put this card in my discard pile, move my persuasion down to 2. All right, this is one of my favorite cards in the game, Chome Directorship. When you purchase that card, there is nothing more satisfying than moving every one of your faction trackers up by 1. However, after that, it's kind of a dud card. It gives you 3 Solari on a reveal phase. It costs 8 persuasion to buy, and that's all it does. But it is so satisfying buying that card, and now I have something to look forward to. And forget about trashing Spiritual Fervor. If I get Chome Directorship, I will definitely just trash that out ASAP. So with that being said, we're going to move on now to combat phase. And what do we do? Well, what do you know? Moritani is not fighting anyone, but he reveals 2 combat points anyway, and he wins. This is dangerous, especially coming from Moritani. He wins a Chome track movement, which that goes up by 1, and he gets a troop added from his supply to his garrison as first place victory is his. Now, that combat has been resolved. That moves us away from the reveal phase to the combat phase. I need to put spice on the Great Flat. I need to put spice on the Haga Basin. I need to put spice on the Imperial Basin. And then we need to return the combat trackers back to their home position. We need to return all troops to their respective homes. We're going to flip this conflict card, and we have Desert Power. First place gets a victory point and a water. Second place gets a water and a spice. We're going to move the round up to round 2, put the reveal, the phase back to 1. And after that, I would like to roll the Imperium Row dice. We've got a 4 and a 2. That's dangerous. You know, I really hope Tome Directorship doesn't get wiped off the board before I can buy it. But 2 and 4 are taken off the table now as options. I cannot buy them anymore. We've got Still Suit Manufacturer and Peter DeVries. So, Still Suit Manufacturer is a Fremen card that costs 5 persuasion. It allows you to go to Fremen spaces and blue spaces. It gives you a water, and if you have the Fremen Alliance, you can return this card from play to your hand. It gives you 1 persuasion, and if you have Fremen Bond, it gives you 2 spice. Peter DeVries costs 5 persuasion. It allows you to go to green and blue spaces and gives you an intrigue card. It gives you 3 persuasion and a combat point when you reveal it. Wow. So those are all, this is looking like a really good Imperium row if I can get my hands on some of the goodies up there. That's a tall order. So at the end of the first round, I'd just like to announce that we are all 3 tied for last place or first place, however you look at it, at 0 victory points. No one is in the lead. So now we're going to return all agents back to their home positions. And we're going to kick off the next round with Moritani, who's going to begin by taking us to Harvest Spice. So he takes himself to the Great Flat. He gets himself 4 total spice. And he pushes in the 1 troop he has into the combat space because the Great Flat is a combat space, after all. That's going to give him 2 combat points in the combat phase. Now we're going to go to Vernius. What does he want to do? He's going to go to Carthag all the way over here. He's going to generate himself another troop from his supply to his garrison. He's going to move his Twi'leksu tracker up by 1. Now all of us are tied in that first square on that track. And he's going to destroy Face Dancer out of the Twi'leksu row and reveal another card, and it is from the tanks. It costs 2 specimen. It allows you to go to green spaces. It gives you 2 troops from your supply to your garrison, and it gives you 1 persuasion on a reveal turn. Now, it just so happens that Carthag is a combat space, so he puts in a total of 3 troops, the 1 that he generated, and 2 from his garrison, which puts him at 6 combat points for this round. Now it goes to me, and I'm going to draw my hand, which reveals, as I suspected, a dagger, seek allies, an experimentation, and a signet ring. Okay, so what do I want to do? Now, down the road, I see myself taking the Hayliner space. Because getting spice from my character should come somewhat easily. So where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What I think I'd like to do, Now I want to take High Council as soon as I possibly can. So maybe the best move for me will be, oh goodness, yes, okay. What I could do is use my experimentation, go to smuggling, bring my Chom tracker down, get my Solari in the first agent phase, then use my signet ring and take High Council in my next agent phase, which would give me 1 Solari. But after using those 2 cards, I would have literally 0 persuasion for my reveal turn, which means I could buy no cards at all out of the Imperium row, and that stinks a lot. but it wouldn't be all for nothing. Actually, I should say, if I have high council, I'll have 2 persuasion, but let's face it, there's nothing I want for 2 persuasion. It'll have to be for the next round if I can get Chom directorship, and we got to cross our fingers that that remains on the board for me to buy. So yes, for my turn, I'm going to do that. Experimentation, I'm going to move my agent all the way over here. I'm going to get 1 Solari for the benefit of that space, and I'm going to move my Chom tracker down 1, and then I'm going to take a total of 8 Solari for the prize instead of the 2 spice. And in total, I now have 9 Solari, which is looking pretty good. I like how that is. And because I use experimentation, I can move my researcher track over 1, which means I can put a specimen in the oxalotl tank, which I will do with glee. And then I could move my Twi'lexu tracker up 1 and get an intrigue card. Ah, nice, interesting. Shadowy Bargain. It says I can use it during the plot to put a specimen in the oxalotl tank, or at the end of the game, I can move the Twi'lexu tracker up by 1. Interesting. If I'm not all the way to the end of the track, I could possibly use this to get that final victory point, which could edge me to victory. Or I could utilize the small gains now. How do I see? We'll have to wait and see how this pans out. It's a little early for me to decide what I'm going to do with this, so I'm going to hold out on that for now and just wait on it. I don't need to utilize anything from the Twi'lexu track yet, so yeah, that's looking pretty good. And that is the end of my agent phase. We're going to go to agent phase 2, and Moritani, you're going to go to a Rakeen, and you're going to generate yourself a troop from your supply to your garrison, put them into the combat, which bumps you from 2 to 4. And you're also going to use your Signet Ring ability, which, oh my goodness, that means you're spending a spice to move your Chom tracker up 1. Now, it's worth mentioning at this time that when you play House Hagal, the Chom track is interesting because they do not move their tracker up to the 3rd space. They always only go up to the 2nd space, and then if they get another Chom track movement, it just goes straight down from there, and they generate all the benefits of the 1st and 2nd space. The reason why that's especially deadly is because they generate 8 total Solari, and 7 of that Solari is used on a victory point. So every time they're managing a Chom track movement, it's a little bit closer to a victory point, and they get all the other benefits. So it's especially dangerous, especially for Moritani, who specializes with the Chom tracker. So that was a dangerous move from him. But let's hope that's all he's able to achieve this game. With that being said, we're going to move on to Vernius. And where does he want to go? He wants to take Conspire. Didn't he do that in the last round? I feel like he did. So he moves his tracker up 1. He gains himself a victory point, and he generates 2 troops from his supplies to his garrison, and it's not a combat space. So he just has those 2 troops hanging out, waiting for him to give commands. With that being said, it moves to me. I will continue with my strategy, as I said before. I'm going to use my Signet Ring. When I use my Signet Ring, I get 1 spice. That's called the Spice Hoard ability. So there's that. I will take my agent, put it on the High Council, put my tracker on the High Council space, so that's marked, and then I will spend 5 Solari on that High Council spot, which puts me at 2 persuasion right there, and everything has been executed flawlessly for my 2nd phase. And so now we're going to go to my reveal phase, where I reveal 2 daggers and a Seek Ally. So that does absolutely nothing for me, and only 2 persuasion. So now we're going to go into the combat phase, and with that, we will see what Moritani wants to do. He will generate himself 3 combat points, 1, 2, and 3. That puts him at 7. Now we're going to see what Vernius wants to do. And he has the Still Suits card, which bumps him up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That puts him at 10 against 7. So Vernius takes the victory this time. That's a victory point for him, putting him at 2 victory points. And he gets a water in this first place victory. That was a very decisive win. However, Moritani gets himself a water and a spice, having taken second place. They are now both 1 water away from a victory. So, with that being said, we will now put spice on the Haga Basin. We will now put spice on the Imperial Basin. We will return the combat trackers back to their home spots. We're going to return all troops to their respective supplies. We're going to flip the conflict card going into round 3. First place takes a victory point, gets to trash a card. Second place gets a water and a spice. We're moving to round 3, which means this is where we really start cooking with gas. It's going to get extremely dangerous. Look out, because my opponents have just revealed their sword masters. Now they have 3 agents in every round, where I remain with only 2 through the course of this entire game. So with that being said, we are going to roll these awesome sounding glass dice. 3 and 3, when you roll doubles, you just ignore one of the dice, and that means space travel gets wiped off the board. Goodbye, space travel. We're going to reveal a new card. Gurney Halleck. Oh, this Imperium row is awesome. Gurney Halleck costs 6 persuasion. He lets you go to blue spaces. You generate 2 troops and draw a card. He gives you 2 persuasion. And if you spend 3 Solari, you can generate 2 troops that you may deploy to the conflict on a reveal turn. Gurney Halleck is also one of my favorite cards. Oh, my goodness gracious. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? That is the question. So with that being said, we are going to move the first player token down. And we're going to end this round by announcing that Vernius is in the lead with 2 victory points, while Moritani and myself remain at 0 victory points. In second place, we are tied for second, as you can see. So there he is. And where is my other guy? There he is. We have returned all the agents back to their home positions, and we're ready to kick off round 3. Here we go. Vernius, who takes the dreadnought space all the way over here. He gets himself a dreadnought, puts it into his garrison, and also has the opportunity to buy a tech tile where he still has not generated enough spice to do anything yet. However, he does get to put another negotiator to the planet X in the tech negotiation space. So next time, assuredly, he will be able to afford wind traps. But as of now, he can't even afford it at a single spice. So now we're going to take my turn. We are going to shuffle my discard pile. I'm going to give it a good shuffling. I really am crossing my fingers. I get 2. I'd really like to get 2 convincing arguments. That's going to put me at, with those 2 cards alone, I would have 4 persuasion plus the 2 that I have in my persuasion box as per High Council. That's 6 total persuasion. And then every other card after that would be enough where I could buy Chome Directorship. And yes, buying that card would be worth losing an agent phase, even if I only get 2. So I'm shuffling this up really good to make sure that I draw it correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see what I get. I did it! Awesome. Okay, I got 2 convincing arguments, a fold space, a signet ring, and a spiritual fervor. So I'm at 6 total persuasion plus that. That's going to put me at 6, 7, 8. So 6, 7, 8. Yeah. All right. This is awesome. Now, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? At this point, it's starting to get a little crazy. I'm literally at 8 persuasion right now, and that's just enough to take Chome Directorship. So the smart move I don't want to do anything, but I have a fold space. But look at all this. I have all this spice that I could use right now. I need to get some spice. Oh, yeah, you know what? When I took High Council, I was supposed to move one of my factions up by 1. So the thing I always like to do is to bump my Emperor track up if I can, because I absolutely despise using Emperor track spaces. So I'm just letting the audience know that when I took the High Council, I was supposed to use my connections ability and I forgot to. So I'm doing it right now just because, you know, it's part of the game. I just forgot to do it. So I moved my Emperor track up by 1. I despise Emperor track spaces, so I avoid them when I can. And anytime I get a free faction movement, I tend to just move Emperor track spaces to get them out of the way. That's the thinking on doing that, is minimizing the amount of times I have to go to the Emperor track, because the rewards there are not quite good enough for me to do it. I mean, 4 spice, 2 troops, 5 Solari, and an intrigue card, not really worth it. And then 2 Solari for wealth. It's just not. You don't really have to use Solari a lot when you're playing House of Gaul unless you're getting a High Council. So with that being said, what I can do is I'll take my fold space. I can go literally anywhere right now. And what do I want to do? Let's see here. I have 5 Solari left. What I could do is go to, I think the smart move, let's be honest here, I'm going to go to the Imperial Basin, and I'm going to take 3 spice. That will give me 4 total spice. That's 2 away from having the Highliner. And then I would get to draw a card, and maybe then if it's a card that I can do away with, I'll be able to use my second agent for something. It's just a shame to use my fold space so soon for that. So maybe the correct move is, oh gosh, this is silly, isn't it? The correct move, instead of going to Imperial Basin now, since fold space will allow me to draw a card, is to just go to wealth and get that victory point out of the way. So I'll take my fold space, use my fold space card. There it is right there. Put my first agent on wealth. I'm going to take 2 Solari as my space award. And move my tracker up 1 so that I can get that victory point. Yeah, and that's that. Now I got to draw a card. What do I draw? A reconnaissance. So that's really nice. That puts me at 9 total persuasion. And that means that I get to use one of my cards on the next turn, which is probably, cross my fingers, it's going to be Imperial Basin. I'll use my signet ring. That would give me enough for, I believe I would have, let's see, it'd be 4 spice plus 1 is 5. So I'd be 1 away from having a Hayliner space down the road. That would be squared away. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, with that being said, that turn took a little while explaining my strategy. Moritani is going to go to Arrakeen, and when he does that, he generates a troop from his supply to his garrison, and he spends 1 spice using a signet ring ability to move the Chom tracker all the way down, which means he moves 2 troops from his supply to his garrison. He gets to move a faction of his choice anywhere he wants. And let's see, he hasn't moved any faction yet at all. So we'll just give him a Fremen faction movement. And he also gains 8 total Solari, but he spends 7 of it on a victory point. So I'm really only going to give him 1 Solari. And he gets a victory point, tying him for 2nd place with me. That was a very good turn for him. Oh, he's in a combat space. So he puts his troops into combat, and that's going to give him 6 total combat, beg your pardon. Now we're going to move on to the second agent phase for Vernius. That's his name. Sorry, for some reason it escaped me. All right, here we go. Vernius, you're going to go to Hardy Warriors. You're going to move your Fremen tracker up by 1, generate 2 troops from your supply to your garrison, and you are a force to be reckoned with, without a doubt. You're going to put in your dreadnought and a troop, and then 2 additional troops after that, which means you're going to be at 3 to 5, then to 7 to 9 total combat points. And that's pretty dangerous. So now let's go to my second agent phase. What do I want to do? I said I would use my signet ring to go to the Imperial Basin. We really should get that out of the way. That's what I'm going to do. Using my signet ring, I'm going to go down from 9 persuasion to 8 persuasion. And yeah, that's cool because spiritual fervor will also allow me to oh, you know what I just realized? I forgot to put spice on the Twi'lexu tracker. What I was going to say is I would be able to spend my specimen to move my tracker up 1, putting me closer to that victory point. So that's looking pretty good. So anyways, I use my signet ring. I'm going to go to the Imperial Basin. I'm going to get 1 spice because of my signet ring ability. But then I'm going to get 3 spice total, 2 bonus spice, plus the 1 that the board lets you get. And that's going to give me a total of 5 spice, 1 away from being able to afford a Hayliner down the road. And will I go in for combat? Absolutely not. Who do you think I am? What do you think I am? Some sort of an insane person? No, I'm not going to get into this combat. I told you guys, House of Gaul is crazy in the first few rounds of this game. You need to build an engine first, or at least let their troops dissolve, because what ends up happening is over time their troops will slowly dissolve and they'll become less threatening. Okay, so we're going to go to Moritani for his second agent phase, and he will harvest spice, which means he's taking Haga Basin and collects 4 total spice. And he will push in troops to the combat if he had troops to push into the combat, which he does not, so he remains at 6 combat points. Then it's going to go to the third agent phase to Vernius, who's going to go to selective breeding. And this is the first time Vernius has gone to the Bene Gesserit spaces. He moves his tracker up by 1, and that's it. So now it's going to go to my reveal phase where, yeah, I'm going to buy Chome Directorship for 8 total persuasion. I just want to reveal this to everybody. I have High Council for 2 convincing arguments, which puts me at 6, a spiritual fervor 7, and reconnaissance 8. So I'm buying Chome Directorship, putting it in my discard pile, and right now I'm going to move every one of my factions up by 1. I just earned myself a victory point with the Spacing Guild, and Bene Gesserit up by 1, Fremen up by 1. All right, excellent. Now, spiritual fervor also allows me to put a specimen in the Oxalotl tank, which I'm going to do, and because it is my reveal turn, I will spend those 3 specimen to move my tracker forward by 1. And that is a wrap for my reveal phase. We're going to go back to agent phase 3 because Moritani hasn't used his 3rd agent yet. He's going to go to tech negotiation, and this is devastating because he has a hoard of spice that he can definitely use to buy one of these tech tiles. Oh man, that is so rad. He only has 7 spice, so he doesn't have enough to buy flagship. Whew, that was close. Especially bad if he could get that, because he could use it to, if he uses his Chome tracker a lot, he could get a lot of Solari and buy himself some troops, but he has enough for training drones. So he's going to buy this, which means every time it's his turn at the beginning of the round, he will tap this tech tile and get himself a troop. So that stinks, for me at least. And he spends it, he only has to spend 2 spice for that because he has a -1 spice discount as per the card commands. All right, great. What I'm going to do is just sort of put his tech tile here, and I'll have to find a way to remember to do it. I just have to reach over there and do the tech tile, I guess. All right, so with that being said, we're now going to go forward to combat phase. Vernius, what do you want to do with your combat? You want to push combat forward by 3 points, putting you at a total of 12. Moritani, what do you want to do? You want to push up by 2, putting you at 8, which means Vernius takes the lead, gaining himself a victory point. And Moritani, he gets himself a water and a spice, but because Moritani has generated 3 total waters, he now has enough to spend these waters for a victory point, which puts him at 2 victory points tied with me. So that was a very decisive second place victory for Moritani and a decisive win for Vernius, who has put himself in the lead. He's going to take his Dreadnought, put it at the Imperial Basin flag space. Then we're going to put spice on the board. The Great Flat is the only place that generates any bonus spice. And with that, we're going to move the combat trackers back to their home positions. We are going to return troops to their respective supplies. We're going to flip the conflict card and move forward to round 4. And it's secure the Imperial Basin. Oh man, that's brutal. Because he has a Dreadnought at the Imperial Basin, he gets a defensive bonus, which means a troop from his supply gets added to the conflict, which means he starts with 2 combat points to start this round. First place gets a victory point and a flag, a permanent flag at the Imperial Basin. Second place gets 2 waters. And with that, we're going to roll the Imperium Row dice. By the way, I forgot to reveal the next card after Chome Directorship. We have Show of Strength, which for 3 persuasion, it is an Emperor and Fremen card. It lets you go to green spaces and triangle spaces. However, there is a catch. Those are actually grayed out on the card, because it says if you have more deployed troops than each opponent, this has green and yellow spaces and lets you draw 2 cards. Otherwise, you reveal it for 1 persuasion and 2 combat points. And now I'm going to roll the Imperium Row dice, where Destiny is revealed. So the second card, Stillsuit Manufacturer, gets wasted away. Uh-oh. I dropped the card here. And we reveal for Humanity. Ooh, whoa. Okay, cool. It is a card that is very reminiscent of the movie Arrival. It costs 7 persuasion to buy. It's a Bene Gesserit card. It lets you go to Bene Gesserit spaces, green spaces, and yellow spaces. And every time you use it, you get to move a faction of your choice up by 1. It gives you 2 persuasion. And if you have a Bene Gesserit alliance, you can move a faction of your choice down by 2 to generate a victory point. Holy jeez. Whoa. That is a wicked good card. Oh my gosh, my Imperium Row is so good. I just don't know what I want now. I've got to think this through. No joke, for Humanity is a deadly card. I have to have a Bene Gesserit alliance in order to do that, though. In order to get that ability. Okay, well, I'll be able to start this next round at least. So we're going to have to cross that bridge when we get there. I guess I'm just going to have to play the game and think as I play what I want to do. Because those Imperium Row cards are really scrumptious, really delicious looking, really tempting. My jowls are drooling. So I don't know. Yeah, those are some really good cards. I'm going to move all of my play area cards to my discard pile, and I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And here we go. Let's see what we revealed. I have a Seek Allies, 2 experimentations, diplomacy, and a dagger. So that's going to put me at 1, 2, 3, 5 total persuasion points. And wow, you know what? This is okay. Winning the Imperial Basin would be really good. So if I could, I think it would be wise for me to attempt to... Okay, here's what I could do. Here's what I could do. Okay, get a load of this. Let's do this. Let's say I use my first agent to take the Mentet space. Why would that be good, you ask? Well, I would get a Mentet for 1. I would draw a card. Let me just see. I have 1 card left in my deck. So let me look at my discard pile and attempt to guess what it is. It's a dagger. It's a dagger. Because I don't have any daggers in my discard pile, and I only have one dagger in my hand, so the last card in the deck is a dagger. Drawing a card would be of no use to me. So I'd be losing there'd be no point to taking the Mentat space, especially with 5 Solari. It's just not a smart move. I don't think that would be a good idea. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Solari. So what if I went to Dreadnought and got a Dreadnought for 3 Solari? I have 5 Spice, so I could go to Wind Traps. That would give me a water, which means then I would have Hardy Warriors available as an option down the road. If I use the water, I could get involved in this conflict and potentially do some damage. That could be a thing, especially since I have a Dreadnought and my opponents do not, and I would get a victory point. And then if I did it that way, if I used my dagger and my diplomacy, I would get 2 specimen added to the Axolotl tank, and then I could use my plot card, my intrigue card, to add a 3rd specimen to the Axolotl tank, pushing my Twi'lexu Road Tracker forward by 1, getting a victory point, getting 2 spice. So it would basically be as if I got Wind Traps for free. Okay, you guys, I'm convinced. That's my strategy. That's what I want to do. So coming out of the gates, the first thing I want to do is use my dagger. Well, really, the first thing I want to do is use Shadowy Bargain and put a specimen in the Axolotl tank and put Shadowy Bargain in the discard pile here. And then using my dagger, putting an agent to Dreadnought, I'm going to spend 3 Solari and earn myself a sick Dreadnought. Hell yeah. Add that to my garrison. And then, because I have the opportunity to buy a tech tile for 2 spice, I will buy Wind Traps, which gives me a free water upon purchase. And every time I win a conflict, I get a water. So that's quite nice. Now let's take a look at this tech tile underneath it. Chamurky, it's that word that I don't like. It sounds weird. It just sounds gross. So for spice, when you purchase the tech tile, you get 2 intrigue cards. That's especially dangerous for my opponents to acquire, because with 2 intrigue cards plus the 1 they start with, that's 3, and they get a free victory point if they manage to purchase that card. Plus, endgame, you win tiebreakers. So that's a deadly card for them to acquire. I don't want them to have it. So with that being said, to begin this round, Moritani taps his tech tile, moves a troop to his garrison from his supply. And what does he want to do? Moritani wants to harvest spice. Yikes. So he just got himself 4 spice total, and he pushes that lonesome troop into the conflict, putting him at 2 combat points. Butterfingers, I'm dropping spice. He pushes his troop into the conflict, and that puts him at 2 combat, tying him with Vernius. So now what does Vernius want to do with his first agent? He wants to go to interstellar shipping, except he cannot do that because he doesn't have 2 influence with the Spacing Guild. So he has to reveal another card. He takes Fold Space. He bumps his tracker up by 1. This is the first time he's gone to a Spacing Guild space, so his tracker is only in the first spot. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. All right. Now, what did I say I wanted to do again? Oh, yes. I wanted to attempt to beat these people in combat. So I was going to take... Oh, you know, I never gave myself the water for having taken Wind Traps. It's all the way over here in my bank. I said I wanted to take Hardy Warriors. I would get a victory point for having done that. And then I would push in my Dreadnought. I would push in a troop, and then 2 more troops after that. That's going to give me a really good, yeah. And then I think I'm just going to get rid of my Seek allies, right? And that's the smarter move here. So that would keep me at 5 persuasion points. So I guess I would buy Petir de Vries for 5 persuasion. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I think I like that. It's just unfortunate because I really wish I could get a Gurney Halleck. That's okay. I'll make do with what I've got. I'm going to use Seek Allies. Trash out that card. Put my agent. This is, by the way, second agent phase. Putting my agent Hardy Warriors. Bumping my tracker to the second position. I gain a victory point, and I get 2 troops added to the garrison. I get to attempt to push these guys in combat. I'm going to push into 2 troops plus 2 troops after that. That's going to be a total of 3 to 5 to 7 to 9. And now I just have to cross my fingers that my opponents can't catch up. They still have their agents out there. So I think it doesn't look good, especially for Vernius. He could take the lead. But if I get second place, at least, I get 2 water. Now, because I took Hardy Warriors, I got to spend a water and put that back. All right, now we are going to go to Moritani. What does he want to do? He's going to go to Selective Breeding. That's the first time he has gone to a Bene Gesserit spot, and that's all he does. He moves his tracker up by 1, putting it in the first space. Now, Vernius will go to Research Station. See, he is dangerous, and he moves his tracker 2 spaces forward, but because he went across the intrigue card space, he gets himself a second intrigue card, which is still not enough for a victory point, but he is in a combat space, so 2 troops enter the combat, putting him at 4 to 6 combat points. And with that being said, we're going to go to my reveal phase now, and I'm going to push in 2 troops from, beg your pardon, from my supply. I'm going to put these 2 specimen in the Oxalotl tanks, and I'm going to spend 3 specimen to move my Twi'leksu tracker up 1, which gets me a victory point, and I'm the first to get the spice, and I'm back to 5 spice, so it is exactly as I predicted. I got that tactile basically for free, so now I'm going to move up 1 victory point. That puts me in the lead at 4 victory points, and I've been doing a terrible job, I think, at least. Maybe I should give myself a little bit more credit, but I don't think I ended the last round by declaring who was in what place. But that's okay, I'll do better this time around. And my reveal phase. So I have 5 total persuasion. And yeah, I said I'll buy Patir Debris. And he's great because he gives you 3 persuasion on a reveal. And that could help me get a Spice Must Flow down the road. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do. And we reveal Planned Coupling for 3 persuasion. It's a Bene Gesserit card, but you got to graft it to use it. It lets you go to Bene Gesserit spaces, and you draw a card when you use it. It gives you 1 persuasion on a reveal phase. So with that being said, we're going to go back to Agent Phase 3 now. And Moritani, what do you want to do? Hayliner. Oh my God, this is vicious. Vicious. Brutal, man. Brutal. Okay, so he puts in 3 troops from his supply to the garrison and puts them directly into combat. Man! So there's a good chance I could totally lose this combat entirely. He puts all 3 into combat, which puts him from 2, so he goes to 4 to 6 to 8 combat points. Man! That was vicious. And he moves his tracker up 1, of course, and this is the first time Moritani has been to the Spacing Guild, so he's only in the first space with that faction tracker. Now for Vernius and his 3rd agent, he goes to Still Suits, which means he's going to take the lead in this combat because he has 2 troops in his garrison. He does bump his tracker up 1, and that puts him tied for first with me at 4 victory points. He pushes his 2 troops into combat, which pushes his combat tracker from 6 to 8, from 8 to 10. So he's in the lead in this combat, and I have no way of generating any more combat points. So I will be at least taking 2nd place. So with that being said, we're going to go to the combat phase now. And Moritani, please blank out. He gets 2 combat, so he takes the lead over me. I'm out entirely with only 9 combat points. I will get nothing for my efforts. You know what? Now that I think about it, what did I do last turn? No, I'm sorry. I'm forgetting. For some reason, I'm forgetting. He started with a troop this round into combat because he has his Dreadnought. That's right. I was thinking, did I forget? Anyways, it doesn't matter. So I will not be getting anything this combat. That's sad. I pushed in all these troops for nothing. That's very disappointing. And Vernius, what will you do? You will gain 1 combat point, which puts you at 11. And that means Vernius gets a victory point, puts him to 5. He gets to put a flag on the Imperial Basin permanently. That's good for him. And second place, Moritani gets 2 waters, and he now has... Oh, he already spent 3 waters for a victory point earlier, so now he's 1 away from a victory point down the road. I get nothing. That really stinks. So this, you know what? Winnings have been resolved, so let's just take care of business first. We'll put Spice on the board. Spice goes to Haga Basin. Spice goes to the Imperial Basin. And we're going to return these combat trackers. How disappointing. I wish I could have won this in some capacity. But, you know, I just have to take my lumps. Now, with that being said, we will return troops to their respective supplies. I'm going to move his dreadnought to his garrison. I will move my dreadnought to cover the Imperial Basin. I'm going to cover his flag, which means he doesn't get that bonus. I get that bonus instead for the next round. I'm going to move all these troops back to their respective supplies. Now, this would be the point in the game that I was discussing earlier, where if you look at my enemy, now their troops have been dissolved. We're pretty far into this game, though, but they're not as threatening as they otherwise would have been. But with that being said, we're going to now flip the conflict card. Solari. There's no reason for me to get involved in this combat. There just isn't. Yeah, there's just no good reason for me to get into this combat. We're in the 5th round. I'm going to move this tracker back to 2. We're going to move the first place token up to Moritani, who will begin the next round. And I'm going to curse my enemies, curse the land that they walk on, these guys. I can't believe how vicious they have been to me. Unrelenting. I can't believe it. They just beat me so badly in combat. I've got to lick my wounds now and try to reinflate my pride. Lastly, we will roll the Imperium Row cards. 4 and 6. 6s get ignored. Planned coupling is gone. Off the table. Gurney Halleck is still on. Oh, Lady Jessica. Oh, man. For 7 persuasion. And I think that is even better than for humanity because, okay, get a load of this. Imagine I buy Lady Jessica. I would push my Emperor tracker up by 1. That would get me the Alliance token and 2 troops added to my garrison. That's a victory point. Then I would have 3 persuasion every reveal turn after that. Plus I have Petir Devry, so that's 3 persuasion. Holy geez, I'm looking at getting some Spice Must Flow down the road. And I have to say, to begin the 5th round, I just want everyone to know that Vernius is in first place with 5 victory points. I am in second place with 4 victory points, and Moritani is in last place with a measly 2 victory points. But don't let your guard down. He also has a tech tile. When it's his turn, he will generate himself a troop to begin this round. So with that being said, let us begin this round. He's going to tap his tech tile, move a troop from his supply to his garrison, and he's going to reveal his first movement. He's going to take Carthage here. He's going to generate a troop from his supply to his garrison. He's going to move his Twi'leksu tracker up 1. He's going to get himself a 2nd intrigue card, 1 away from a victory point. And he's going to destroy Contaminator. That card is gone. Gone, baby, gone. And then he reveals Guild Impersonator for 2 specimen. It's a Spacing Guild card. If you graft it, you get to go to Spacing Guild Spaces. And if you gain Spice this turn, you get to move the Spacing Guild Space faction tracker up by 1. He's in a combat space, so he pushes his troops into combat, putting them at 4 combat points. And with that being said, we're going to move on now to Vernius, who reveals that he wants to go to Secrets, and this is the 2nd time he goes to a Bene Gesserit space, which means he gets a victory point at 6 victory points now for him. That was deadly. And we're going to go to me. So I will draw my last card, which is the dagger, as I had expected. And I'm going to shuffle my discard pile. I'm going to give it a good shuffling. Give it a good shuffling. I'd like to, well, who am I kidding? Why would I like to win this combat? I don't want to win this combat. What I'd like to do, secrets is already taken. I would like to perhaps go to selective breeding and then go to Imperial Basin this turn, if possible, these next two agent phases, only so I can get enough spice to lock away. I would get 1, 2, 3 spice total, but then I would be spending, so that would put me at 8 spice, and then 2 of it would be spent for selective breeding, so that would leave me at 6 spice, which is enough for Hayliner in the next round. And it's the 6th and 7th round when you start getting those good conflicts coming up. So with that being said, let me get my hand out. Oh, yeah, and here we go. I've got 2 convincing arguments. Oh my goodness gracious. Spiritual fervor and a dagger. That's pretty good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total persuasion plus spiritual fervor. That's 10 total persuasion. That's going to be enough for me to take Lady Jessica. Yeah, that's where it is. That is the smarter move. So yeah, I'll do that. And let me just see here. I said I wanted to be able to take selective breeding so I could square away that, yeah, Let's see here. If I use, oh man, this is actually not a good turn because, okay, so this is not a super good turn, and I'll tell you why. Because if I have to use Peter, Piter, that's right, his name is Piter. I don't know why I was saying Peter. It's Piter. Anyways, the point is if I have to use them on an agent phase, I lose 3 persuasion. 1, 2, 3. That would put me at exactly 7, which is enough for Lady Jessica. But then I couldn't use spiritual fervor for the Imperial Basin. So instead, if I want to be able to 1, 2, 3 afford Lady Jessica, which is essential, I must get that card. I'm gonna have to rethink my options. So I could afford to use spiritual fervor to go to the Imperial Basin. I think that's the smartest thing I can do. I don't want to win anything out of this conflict. Getting any kind of Solari would be kind of useless for me. So I would use spiritual fervor simply to get the spice. And then the next time I had a chance to move anything, I would use my dagger to go to Dreadnought, buy myself a second Dreadnought. And no, I would not buy any tech tiles because, well, I could buy Mini Mike film, I suppose. I mean, it's only 2, and I would have a ton of spice at this point if I go to, yeah, I should be able to afford that, actually. I think that's what I will do. Let me think about this. So if I get 3 spice by going to the Imperial Basin, that would put me at 8 total spice. And let's say I go to tech negotiation. Aha, that's a better idea. That would give me 1 additional persuasion. And then that would put me from, yeah, that would put me from 9 to 10 persuasion. And then I would also get, if I spent 3 of my spice, that would put me down to, man, that would put me back to 5 spice. And but I'd get 2 intrigue cards, which those could be essential for winning. So, man, I just want to make sure we're coming close to the 6th and 7th round, and I need to make sure I have enough spice for a Hayliner. That said, I should be drawing soon. That's right. I should be drawing quite soon a Signet Ring card, which would generate my 6 spice in the next round, in the 6th round. So, okay. It is my turn. I've spent a long time sitting here thinking out loud what I would like to do. I'm going to use Spiritual Fervor and put my agent in the Imperial Basin and take 3 total spice. Because I'm using my Dreadnought to cover my enemy's flag, they get nothing out of this whatsoever. They are losers. But I am now sitting with 8 total spice. And, yeah, with that said, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to get involved in this combat. Not at all. We're going to go to Agent Phase 2. And House Hagal is all out of cards. So now I've got to shuffle the House Hagal deck. That only takes me a minute. Now, how do I feel about this game so far? Moritani is doing a lot of really big moves, but he hasn't moved his victory point tracker very much. So I'm not threatened by him, even though I see him doing stuff. He was using his Chome tracker earlier, and that was kind of scary. But it's Vernius who has just gotten super lucky this game. Whenever I play against Vernius, it turns out he ends up being the winner. And he just sort of always has gotten away with winning and taking a commanding lead when that happens. So I just don't know what to think of Vernius. Maybe it's just serendipitous that he constantly wins whenever we play against him. There's something about that character, even though he never uses his Signet Ring ability. So far, he hasn't done that yet at all. And despite that, his victory point tracker just climbs the track. So, okay, with that being said, where are we? Oh, yes, that's right. Moritani for Agent Phase 2. He's going to attempt to take Carthage, but he cannot because his agent is already there. So instead, he takes the Dreadnought space. See, it's a good thing I decided to go to Tech Negotiation because it turns out that he was going to take Dreadnought anyway, and he has the opportunity now to buy a tech tile. Holy crud. Does he has 8 spice, no doubt. Okay, so he's going to spend 8 spice on flagship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I dropped on 7. Oh, come on, Butterfingers. Stop dropping spice. Hey, let me just double check and count all this. Yeah, we've got 8 spice here. And he buys flagship. Whenever he can afford 4 Solari, he'll be able to generate 3 troops to his garrison. That makes him kind of dangerous, but he gets a victory point for having purchased that tech tile. And he shows troop transports for 2 spice. Whenever you recruit troops from the shipping track, recruit an additional troop. You may deploy any of them to the conflict. So, okay, be on the lookout. He's making moves. He's got himself a Dreadnought. Now we're going to go to Vernius, who still cannot go to interstellar shipping. So he goes to secrets, but he can't because he's already there. So he goes to Carthage, but he can't because Moritani is already there. So he goes to selective greeting, and he goes to the 3rd Bene Gesserit space, putting him 1 away from the alliance token, but he does not put any troops into the conflict yet. Now it goes to my second agent phase. And yes, what did I say I wanted to do? Oh, yeah, duh. I'm sorry, I lost track of my thinking. I wanted to go to tech negotiation, and that's using my dagger, of course, and that's going to put me from, let's see here, I have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total persuasion, plus 1, because I'm there now, tech negotiation, that's at 10 persuasion. But the reason why I said I wanted to do that, now why did I say I wanted to do that? I said I wanted to buy Chamerki. That's going to be at the cost of 3 spice. So 1, 2, 3, and that puts me back to 5 spice. Now, I'm just going to cash in these 5 spices over here, these 5 spices. I guess spices can be a plural. Spice must flow. 5 spice for a 5 spice token. Just keeps better track that way. But I am spending 3 spice for Chamerki, which is a word I despise. It just sounds gross, like I say. I get 2 intrigue cards. Ambush, that's going to be very helpful. And all right, nice. Awesome. I just got myself a victory point. I'll just use that right now. Push myself up on that tracker, get this alliance token, get a victory point, putting me from 4 to 5, get 2 troops from my supply, add them to my garrison. All right, awesome. That's super rad. Great. I feel good about that. And why is that so good? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when I buy Lady Jessica, I'll just move my Bene Gesserit tracker up 1 and get a victory point there. And then from there, next turn, hopefully I'll get a signet ring, and then I'll be able to have a spice when I use that card, and then I'll be enough for Hayliner, and then I can start doing some serious damage. Okay, great. Things are working out nicely. And so with that being said, we're going to go to Agent Phase 3. Moritani, you want to take the Hayliner space. And that's going to give you a victory point. You're climbing the victory point track now quite fast. You're going to generate 3 troops from your supply to your garrison, and you're going to push in all 3 of your troops plus your dreadnought. So that's going to put you at 13 total combat points. Yikes. That's so deadly. But I'm actually a little bit relieved because I won't have to worry about him so much in the next round. With that said, Vernius, what do you want to do? You want to go to Fold Space and take a victory point. That's a smart move. He's just cleaning up, taking these simple. Yeah, he has every single one of his trackers on a victory point. So he's been doing that this game. That's how he's able to climb the track so nicely. And so now we go to my reveal phase where I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus the 1 from tech negotiation, a total of 10 persuasion. And I will use that to buy the Lady Jessica, put her in my discard pile, and reveal Freighter Fleet for 2 persuasion. It lets you go to triangle, that's yellow spaces. And it's a unload ability, which means you can discard or trash a card to move a Chome tracker 1 space. Now, because I bought Lady Jessica, I get to move a faction up 1 of my choice. I'll move the Bene Gesserit up 1, get a victory point. I'm sitting at 6 victory points. And now with that, we are going to go into the combat phase where Moritani fights no one. Nobody's going to be fighting him this round. So how many points does he move up? He moves up 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Putting him at 18 combat points, which means he takes first place. That's 6 Solari, and he already has 1 in his bank. So I'll just put that right into the bank and give him 1 victory point because 7 Solari costs 1 victory point. So it's a close game. I just would like to say at this point in time, if you like what you see here, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. With that being said, we're going to move on with putting spice onto the board because the winnings have been resolved. And we need to return combat trackers to their home positions, return troops to their home spots. And my dreadnought goes back home. His dreadnought will either take a Rakeen or Imperial Basin. I always like to cover other people's flags when I get the opportunity. And I think that's how my opponents would like to do it. And let's see here. With that being said, we can flip the conflict card and move into the 6th conflict. And first place gets an intrigue card and 3 spice. Second place gets 2 spice. Okay, that's not a super good... Man, if I get into this combat, it would only be to stifle my opponent. Okay, now we're going to roll the Imperial row dice. 6 and 5. Say goodbye to Show of Strength. You are out of here. 6s get ignored, of course. Ixian Engineer for 5 persuasion lets you go to yellow spaces and allows you the ability to buy a tech tile. If you have 3 or more tech tiles, you trash the card on a reveal phase to gain a victory point. I'm 1 tech tile away from 3, and I never revealed what this was going to be. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, let's think this through for a second. Okay. Well, it's going to be Vernius who starts this next round off. And with that being said, I would just like to say at the beginning of round 6, Vernius is in the lead with 7 victory points. I'm in second place with 6 victory points, and Moritani is in last place with 5 victory points. It's a close race, and the game is really moving along nicely. These guys are definitely threatening. I'm not letting my guard down, not for a second. They have a commanding lead. I mean, it's not a commanding lead, it's one victory point. It's just that they have so many more opportunities to gain victory points where I don't have those opportunities, and that's what makes them so dangerous. So let's see here. To begin this round, how does Moritani want to begin? Let's see here. Moritani would like to go to selective breeding, which gives them a alliance. Oh man, that's vicious. They just got 2 victory points out of that because they get the alliance coin, which is a victory point, so bumping them from 7 to 8. And then they get an intrigue card, which is now their 3rd intrigue card, which is a victory point. They will spend these intrigue cards for a victory point. That moves them from 8 to 9. They are now 1 victory point away from winning this game in the 6th round. So holy jeez, if this guy wins in the 6th round, I'm going to lose it. I can't believe how quickly this guy defeated me, especially since I feel like I'm doing really good. It's just like these conflicts haven't really been very useful, so getting involved in combat hasn't been really very good. Now, okay. We are at a point in the game where the Imperium Row, as good as those cards are, they just aren't going to be super useful to me, especially since we're so dangerously close to the end of the game. I need to utilize everything I can possibly utilize right now. So it is my turn. I'm going to nuke the Imperium Row and see if anything comes up. Any resource that can come up that I could use right here, right now. Perhaps there's a card that says, when you buy this, you get this, or something like that. I could, use anything I can get. I gotta do what I gotta do. We gotta utilize everything. High priority travel, embedded agent, clandestine meeting, Imperial spy, and scout. So nothing I can use, but I'd just like to announce what cards are now in the Imperium Row. High priority travel for 1 persuasion is a Spacing Guild card that lets you go to green and yellow spaces, and if you have 2 influence with the Spacing Guild, you get to draw a card or enter combat. It gives you 1 persuasion and a Solari on a reveal turn. Embedded agent for 5 persuasion is a Bene Gesserit card, lets you go to green spaces and share green spaces with other agents. And if you have another Bene Gesserit card in play, you can move your Chome Tracker 2 spaces. It gives you 1 persuasion and an intrigue card on a reveal. Clandestine Meeting is a Bene Gesserit card that costs 4 persuasion, and this card has no agent icons, but I guess when you use it, you know how it would work? You would have to graft it in order to utilize it. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you can't go anywhere with that card. But if you graft it with something and you use it on an agent phase, you would get to move your Bene Gesserit tracker up by 1 and gain an intrigue card. It gives you 2 persuasion on reveal. Imperial Spy for 2 persuasion lets you go to Emperor spaces, and when you trash the card on an agent phase, you get to trash it for an intrigue card. Gives you 1 persuasion and a combat point. Scout for 1 persuasion lets you go to blue and yellow spaces. It does nothing on an agent phase, but on a reveal phase gives you 1 persuasion and 1 combat. Retreat up to 2 of your troops. Okay, so moving along now, I will draw my next hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what do we have here? Chome Directorship is useless to me. I have Diplomacy, Experimentation, Dagger, and Reconnaissance. Dagger is useless to me. I will count up my persuasion real quick. I'm sitting at 5 total persuasion. I'm a little bit bummed out, only because this guy Vernius is so close to victory. It just doesn't look good for me right now. I only have 5 spice, so I need to gain spice. I have to go. I'm going to have to get into this conflict. You know, I've got to. I can't let him walk away with it. If he won first place, what would he get? Really nothing. He would get an intrigue card. But still, you know. Let me think this through. Let me think this through. How many, what are my, okay, let me think this through. So here is my hand. Here is my discard pile. We have 2 cards left in my deck. What other cards would there be? A reconnaissance. There would be a reconnaissance and another experimentation. So reconnaissance and experimentation are what remains in my deck. I need to know that information so I can understand my odds of drawing good cards in the next round. I will not be able to utilize Hayliner next round when it's essential. It's very, very likely I will not be drawing that card. I need to find a way to get to the Hayliner space. I could utilize it now, push in a bunch of troops, hopefully win first place. That would get me back 3 of the spice, at least if I win, and an intrigue card, which who knows what that would do for me. Probably nothing. Winning this combat isn't really super good, but how else would I gain any kind of victory points? Where else would I get a victory point? Let's see where I could go on the board for victory points. I could get a spice must flow, but I'm sitting at 5 persuasions. Not really a lot. I don't need to look at these anymore because I already know it's in my discard pile. I go to Hayliner. It doesn't look good, you guys. This does not look good at all. I would get, well, if I go to Hayliner, I get 2 water, but then if I win the conflict, I'd get a water as well, since I have the tech tile that says that. Man, this is not looking good. He's so close to a victory. It just does not look good. What to do, what to do, what to do, what to do. See, if let's just say I use reconnaissance and go to Arrakeen, I would draw a card. It would be a reconnaissance or an experimentation. Yet again, I don't really get anything out of that, and I would be at 5 persuasion. So doing that does really nothing for me. Going to Carthag, getting an intrigue card, but if I win this conflict, I would get an intrigue card anyway. I have good odds of winning this conflict because I also have my ambush card too. So yeah, I guess that's really all I can hope for, you know, is... Wow, it's just so brutal. What if my intrigue card is one of those intrigue cards that lets you go to any faction of your choice? That would be so awesome, but I'm not going to count on it. Obviously, the odds are extremely thin that that happens. Man. My choices suck right now. All right, well, if we can make it into the next round, at least I'll be able to take a Mentet space. All right, experimentation. I mean, this is such a dud turn. Using my first agent to go to experimentation, I get to move my researcher tracker 1. Actually, I could take a Mentet space this turn. I gain 1 Solari. Okay, that's not so bad. And yeah, I'm going to push in my Dreadnought and a troop. That puts me at 5 combat points. And yeah, I gain 1 spice. That's all I gain. But Moritani gets a spice because he has his dreadnought over Vernius's flag. So good for him. He gets the benefit there. Okay. Man, this round just stinks to high heaven. I can't get over how bad it is. Devastating. Okay. Moritani, what do you want to do? Harvest spice. Of course that's what you want to do. You're going to go to the Great Flat. Actually, he goes to the space with the most bonus spice, so he goes to Haga Basin. He gets 4 spice. Whether he went to Haga Basin or the Great Flat, he still would have collected 4 total spice. So it all comes out in the wash, and he has no troops to add to the conflict. So he actually, I take that back. He taps his training drones, and he moves a troop from the supply to the garrison and pushes it into combat, giving him 2 combat points. Now we're going to go to the second agent phase, where Moritani is threatening me with ending the game every single chance he gets a turn. He goes to Harvest Spice, so he goes to the Great Flat. He gets 4 spice. Man, every time he does a thing, it scares me, you know? He's so close to winning. I don't want it to end yet. I don't want it to be over. He puts the Dreadnought into combat, putting him at 3 combat points. Man, it's so scary. It's so lame. I have enough now that I could take the Mented space. It's just what good would that do me? I suppose I could get extremely... No, it wouldn't be lucky at all, because I was just thinking out loud a little bit. I was thinking, like, if I drew a Lady I would draw... I have these 2 cards. It would be a Reconnaissance or an Experimentation. I got to keep remembering that. Those 2 cards are totally useless to me. So drawing a card would be lame, and getting the Mentet right now would be worthless. So Diplomacy to Hayliner is my only chance. I'm going to end up winning this combat, which is nice. I guess I have that to look forward to. And yeah, it's really not the best round ever, but you know, I guess I'll take what I can get. It's not many choices I have. So I move my tracker up 1. I've gone to Hayliner. I spend 6 total spice doing that. I get back to Waters, and I get 5 troops. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, I'm going to push them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to get me... Let's see here, 15 combat points. And I'll leave 3 troops in my garrison because, let's face it, yeah, I think that's the best move because I'm pretty high in lead right now. And it doesn't... I don't think these guys are going to be able to take me. They don't have very many troops in their garrisons. So it feels like I could win this pretty good. So keeping my troops in those 3 troops in the garrison is a good idea. Plus, I have my dagger I haven't used yet. So, and if I really needed to, I could always use my ambush. You can tell the wind is definitely out of my sails, right? Everybody can tell I'm depressed. I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose. It's going to be lame. I'm not looking forward to it. Moritani goes to the research station all the way over here. He moves his tracker 2 spaces forward, and that gets him a victory point. So now he's tied with me in 2nd place. And he's in a combat space, but he has no troops. So he just remains at 2 combat points. And now we're going to go to the 3rd agent phase for Vernius, who scares the daylights out of me. He finally has enough to go to interstellar shipping, which is actually nice because he just bumps his tracker 2. Now that's extremely dangerous, because we will get to make it to the next round, and I will have won this, and Vernius will take 2nd place with just getting 2 spice, but he only needs to move his Chome Tracker 1 more time to end the game outright, so I have got to generate victory points. Like, we cannot sleep on it. We've got to find an engine that gets me victory points now. I've got to buy a Spice Must Flow next turn. I've got to win the combat next turn. So many things have to happen next turn. And so with that, it goes to me And I can reveal, so I get 3 Solari from my Chome Directorship, which is nice. I now have 8 Solari, which is enough for a Mentat next turn. And I have a dagger. It puts me from 15 combat points to 16 combat points. And I'm sitting at a mere 3 persuasion. And there's nothing I want to buy out of the Imperium row. Nothing at all. Looks interesting to me. And so with that, I'm just going to let this come to a close. We're going to go back to Agent Phase 3 for Moritani, who will take his second Dreadnought all the way over here, and he gets to buy a Tactile. He's been buying Tactiles this game. So he's going to put his Dreadnought into his garrison, and he's going to buy this Tactile. And the reason how I know is because it's the only one with a House Hagal logo in the bottom right-hand corner. He does not have any negotiators in there, so he just spends 2 spice to achieve that. And all it says is whenever he recruits troops from shipping track, that's all the way over here, he gets to recruit an additional troop, and he may deploy them to the conflict. So we're not going to have to worry about that because his tracker is all the way down. And this game's going to end next round, almost guaranteed. So with that being said, now we're going to go to the combat phase where, all right, it goes to me, and I've already revealed my dagger. I don't want to use my intrigue card. So it's going to go from me now to Moritani. No, you know what? I take that back. Because it went to my reveal phase, it then goes to Vernius because it was Moritani last, and then it skips me because I've already done my reveal phase. And so it would just go to Vernius, from Moritani to Vernius. So Vernius, what do you do in combat? You gain 2 combat points. 1, 2. Moritani, I'm really hoping Moritani wins this conflict. I don't know why, but he does not win this conflict. But that's okay. I get 3 spice and an intrigue card. And let's just hope that does something for me. Please be a good intrigue card. When you win a conflict, 3 spice. Now, that's really nice. It's just that okay. I don't know if I can just use that right now. When you win a conflict, 3 spice. I'm going to be honest with you. When I've played Dune Digital, and cards like this come up, it doesn't let you collect it now. I can only collect it next round. So as much as I really want, and again, I might be misremembering, and I might be misremembering in a way that hurts me big time, because I could use this right now and have it up for a Hayliner, but I have no way of going to the Hayliner space, so I don't even know why I'm thinking about it as an option. The odds are very small I would get a Diplomacy again. But, man, what a shame. Yeah, I'm going to just say I don't get to use this until I win the next conflict, since I'm winning this from this conflict. So that's how that's going to be, and maybe I'm misremembering. I'll have to double check and see that. I'll look it up in the rules later. I'm going to move my play area cards to my discard pile. I'm going to give 2 spice to Vernius, who takes 2nd place in this conflict. And yeah, okay, wonderful, wonderful. With that being said, the winnings have been resolved. We're not going to be putting any spice on the board because all the desert spaces have been utilized. We're going to return the combat trackers and return all troops to their supplies. This dreadnought goes back to Moritani's garrison. This dreadnought's going to take Arrakeen. My dreadnought's going to take Carthag. And let's see here. Well, do I want to take Carthag? Or I think I'll put mine right there on the Imperial Basin. And I'm going to put my troops back to their respective supplies. Flip the next conflict card. It's a battle for Carthag, and nobody has Carthag. I kind of wish I put my dreadnought there now. It's too late, but we're going to move into the 7th round. First place gets 2 victory points. Second place gets 3 spice and an intrigue card. And we're going to move return the persuasion tracker, return the agent tracker. And yeah, okay, all right. Now I do get to start this next round, so I have that to look forward to. And because I won that victory, I do get a water because I have a tactile wind traps. Whenever I win a conflict, I gain a water. Now I have 3 total waters. Nice. Okay. So with that being said, I would just like to say Vernius is in the lead at 9 victory points, putting him 1 victory point away from getting the win. I am in second place, tied with Moritani with 6 victory points. We have a long way to go to get this, to win this game. It, like I said, it's so dangerously close to the end. We've got to do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's kind of scary, but we'll see what we can do. Maybe miracles can happen. So with that being said, we're going to return all the agents back to their respective home positions. Here and here and here. Okay, great. Now I get to start the next round. Oh my goodness, I was wrong. It was not a reconnaissance. It was a signet ring. I should have noticed that. Experimentation and signet ring is what remained. I guess you only get 1 reconnaissance in your starting deck. Huh. For some reason, I thought you started with 2. Oh well. I should have still noticed that there was no signet ring in my discard pile. Surprised I didn't, but that's okay. Gotta shuffle it, shuffle it, shuffle it. Let's hope I get good cards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I've got the Lady Jessica. I could probably afford a Spice Must Flow at some point this round, so I have that to look forward to. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total persuasion. If I use Lady Jessica, I get to draw 2 cards. Yeah, I would be able to draw 2 cards. I can go to selective breeding, spend 2 spice to draw 2 more cards. And that would be enough where I could buy a Spice Must Flow. But the reason why that would be kind of a bad idea is because I have an idea. Drawing 4 cards would certainly be nice, don't get me wrong, but what I could do is I could use Lady Jessica to take the Mentat space, where I would then be able to draw 3 new cards for the cost of 5 Solari. And yeah, I would lose 3 persuasion, but I would draw 3 new cards. Yeah, the odds are not super awesome that I would be able to gain entirely back all my persuasion. I need to win this conflict, so instead what I need to be thinking about is getting into this conflict. So I could take Lady Jessica. No, I keep thinking about Lady Jessica. Why do I do that? What I ought to be thinking about instead is using my signet ring. Man. I have 3 troops in my supply, so I could use my signet ring to... It all comes down to this. This is the final turn. It all comes down to this. What I could do... Okay, hold on. Okay, come on now. Think this through. There's things happening. I'm brainstorming ideas and things are happening. Look at this. I'm 1 away on the researcher tracker from being able to move a faction token up 1. I would be able to move my Spacing Guild faction up by 1 and gain a victory point with that alliance token. That would put me from 6 to 7. Then if I win this conflict, that would put me from 8 to 9. So that's really good. Then I just need to find a way to generate a 4th victory point, a Spice Must Flow. And then I just have to have enough to... I win tiebreakers, so that's good. I don't have to worry about tie breaking. So if we tie for 10 victory points, Now, he's one away on his Kwisatz tracker from getting a victory point, and he's one away here from getting a victory point. And of course, if he wins a victory point any other way, he's one water away from a victory point. So he has 3 ways I can see right now that he could get a victory point and totally end this game. I never revealed this tech tile. It's artillery, costs 1 spice, reveal turn, 1 combat for each revealed card that provides 1 or more combat this turn. So I really, really need to do this. So what I might do is, okay, I could go to use my experimentation to push forward. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Wait. Okay. Let's say I use my signet ring. No, it's not enough. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of going crazy right now. What I could do is use experimentation, go to the research station, and what would that allow me to do? Move the tracker here and then to here. I would be able to, I mean, why would I guess draw 2 new cards, and that's nice. Yeah, so I can afford a spice must flow. That's what needs to be done. So that's what I got to be thinking about. I've been pushing 2 troops, and yeah, so long as this guy, he's gonna have 6 combat points as soon as he pushes in, and then also because he has training drones, he'd get a free troop on his turn, so he could get up to 8 combat points out of this combat. So I've got to be able to beat that in order to win this victory. But I do have an ambush, so that's actually looking pretty good. Okay, so to begin this round, I'm going to use my signet ring, actually. And I'm going to take research station, spend 2 of my water, put my agent on research station, move my tracker here, and because the research station allows me to do that, bump my tracker up 1, get 3 Solari. Hey, you know what? This game isn't over yet. This game is not over yet. I'm going to take this alliance coin, get a victory point. I'm at 7 victory points now. I get to draw 2 cards. A convincing argument that moves me up from, because I use my signet ring, down 1, but then 2 because of convincing argument, putting me at 10. And, Chome directorship. Lame. Okay. I have 10 persuasion, so that's good because now I can use basically any card I want. And yeah, I'm going to push in 2 troops to the conflict, putting me at 4 points of conflict points. Yeah. Okay, so from there, I would need to use... I have to use reconnaissance at either Arrakeen, Carthag, or Siege Tabor. My best bet is to go to a Carthag so I can get an intrigue card. Hopefully that could come in use somehow. I would generate a troop, push these 2 troops into conflict, and Lady Jessica gives me 1 conflict point in the reveal phase, so that's good. Yeah, and if I win this, I would be able to buy a Spice Must Flow, and I win this. If I win this conflict, it all comes down to if I can win this conflict. I've got to depend on this ambush. I've got to depend on that. Oh, man, I can't believe how this is all coming down to the wire like this. So, okay, now we're going to go to Moritani, who immediately taps his training drones tech tile to generate himself a troop to his garrison. And Moritani will go to Arrakeen, and he gives Vernius a Solari because he has his dreadnought on that flag space. But what does he do? He uses his signet ring ability. He's going to generate himself a troop and add it to his garrison. He's going to add his 2 dreadnoughts to the conflict plus his troops. So that's going to put him right out of the gates to 8 conflict points. That was dangerous. I've got to be able to overcome him somehow. Now, if he wins this conflict, it's not the end of the world because, you know, he's going to be only at 8 victory points, but I'm positive Vernius will win this round. He's going to end the game this round. So I have to take those 2 victory points. I have to. And I win ties, so I would win the game by that fact alone. He uses his ability to spend a spice to move his Chome tracker up by 1. So that's his signet ring ability. Now, Vernius, what do you want to do? Tech negotiation. He goes all the way over here to tech negotiation. He has 2 negotiators in here, and he's also able to get -1 spice. So he can buy, okay, none of these have the House Hagal icon on it. So you take 1 off of the highest stack and you burn it, and you reveal the next tech tile, and here you go. Here's what you're left with. He gets this tech tile for free, but he loses his 2 negotiators. And all it says is, detonation devices. When you win a conflict using a dreadnought, you may return a dreadnought to your supply to gain a victory point instead of taking control of a board space with it. Okay, that's kind of cool. It doesn't do him any good, but it's kind of cool. And it's great because that's 1 agent down that didn't do anything of any good for him. So I like how that turned out. Now it's my turn, and we are in agent phase 2. Now I need to have miracles work for me. Carthag is available, so that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to use... Man, is there anything else that comes to my mind for something I could do and pull off? And no, so I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. After I use reconnaissance, I would go down to 9 persuasion, and going to use... Oh, you know what I didn't do? I never gave myself a spice for having used my signet ring in the previous turn. So there's that. I'm at 4 spice, but what good would that do me? Anyways, reconnaissance goes to Carthag. I gain a troop from my supply and add it to the garrison, push in my 2 troops. That's going to put me from 4 to 8 combat points. Man, oh man. Cross your fingers, everyone. I get an intrigue card. Please be a combat card. Please be a combat card. Look at the top card of your deck, draw it, or then trash it. So I guess I'll just do this now. That did not do me any good. It's a convincing argument. So hooray, I have more persuasion than I need. Great. That means I could have used Lady... No, I couldn't have used Lady Jessica, actually. Everything comes out in the wash. Okay, I've got to hope that I can win this somehow. Okay, so we're going to go to Moritani, who takes still suits. All the way down here, he moves his tracker up 1, he gets a victory point. And he pushes his troops into the conflict, which means he goes from 8, 9, 10. So he's at 10. Man, this is going to be hard to beat. He's going to be hard to beat. I have to overcome, at this point, whatever he reveals during his conflict, and he still has an agent, but he has way less combat spaces to work with. He could take a Hardy Warriors, the Hayliner. Okay, I'm just building tension now for the sake of it. Arakeen is taken. Conspire for Moritani. He moves his tracker up 1, and he generates 2 troops from his supply to his garrison. Man, this is getting hairy. And it goes to me now for my reveal phase, where I have a conflict point. I'm at 9 conflict points. I have 2 specimens I can add to the Oxalotl tank. Might as well. I mean, they're not going to do me any good, but you might as well just to do it. And yeah, I have 3 Solari from Chome Directorship, which, you know, that again is not really doing me any good. I have a ton of Solari, more than I can shake a stick at, and I have no use for any of it. But I do have enough persuasion for Spice Must Flow, and I'll buy that and gain a victory point, putting me at 8 victory points now. And there you have it. That's my turn. And I looked at the top card of my deck, so Poison Snooper is gone. Forgot to put that in the discard pile. And we go back to Agent Phase 3 for Moritani, who will take Wealth. And that's the first time this game he's gone to an Emperor space. So he only is moving his tracker up 1, and it's in the first space. Now, Vernius will harvest spice, and there are no bonus spices on the board, so he goes to tech negotiation, but he can't go there, so he goes to Arachne, and he can't go there, so he goes to fold space. Oh my gosh, you guys. I might be able to win. I might be able to win. He went to fold space. He moved his tracker up by 1. That doesn't do him any good. Yes. I can't believe how this is turning out. It's all coming down to the line. Oh my gosh. Now we go to combat. Moritani and myself are the only 2 people in combat. So what does he reveal? Oh. Oh. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I used ambush, it's not enough to beat him, so I'm not going to use it. Okay. Let's think this through. Let's think this through. Let's think this through. Okay, I have a Piter card. I have a diplomacy. Let me see how many cards I have left in my draw pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a diplomacy to look forward to. I would win second place with 3 spice. That's another Hayliner. I could win the next conflict if I'm lucky. If I do this right. Moritani would not have dreadnoughts, but he would. And the game goes forward another round. But yet again, we are so dangerously close to a victory from Vernius. I'm surprised he wasn't able to end it this round. Wow. Wow. I'm not using my ambush. I got to tell you guys, I'm getting by on the skin of my teeth right here. Battle for Carthage. So for the victory, Moritani gets to put his flag on Carthage. He gains 2 victory points, moving him from 7 to 8 to 9, tied for first place at 9 victory points. I, on the other hand, I gain an intrigue card. Rapid mobilization, deploy any number of troops from the garrison to the conflict. That will do me no good. Of course I'm going to do that. And I gain 3 spice. And that is enough, though, for me to have another Hayliner. Man, it's so close. It's all so close. Now, with that being said, I've got to put spice onto the board because the winnings have been resolved, and we're going into the 8th round, and I can't believe I'm saying that. I cannot believe I'm saying that right now. We're going into the 8th round. So with that being said, we're going to return the combat trackers to their home positions. We are now going to return troops to their respective supplies. His troops go back here, back to his garrison. Mine goes back to my garrison. And he puts his dreadnought here, and he puts his dreadnought there. Okay, so with that being said, literally Moritani has a flag space on every spot. We're going to flip the conflict card. Holy jeez. The worst possible conflict that could come from this. I need to be able to get a spice must flow and win this conflict now. Because, ugh. Ugh. I would be able to move a tracker up 2, which would only give me 1 victory point. So it would be the Fremen tracker. And I need to get a spice must flow for a 2nd victory point. Unless I can get a victory point somewhere else, but where else am I going to get one? Where else am I going to get one? Now I have a ton of Solari, so I could take a Mentet this turn too. Yeah. So I need to be able to get a spice must flow. Now Piter is in my hand this turn, but look at this. Both of my convincing arguments have been drawn, so, and my Lady Jessica, so all my high persuasion cards will be used. That's very disappointing. Now, with that being said, I would just like to roll the Imperium Row dice. 2 and 3 are gone. 2 and 3. So, embedded agent and clandestine meeting. It is a very, very close game. Missionaria Protectiva and Fremen Camp. So, okay, I have a total of 7 spice. Not enough for that to be used, but even if I could use it, it doesn't matter. Missionaria Protectiva for 1 persuasion is a Bene Gesserit card that lets you go to blue spaces, and if you have another Bene Gesserit card in play, you can move a faction up by 1. It gives you 1 persuasion on reveal. And Fremen Camp for 4 persuasion, it's a Fremen card that lets you go to yellow spaces, and at the cost of 2 spice, you get to generate 3 troops to your garrison, and gives you 2 persuasion and a combat point on a reveal turn. So that's a pretty nice card, but none of them are going to be of any use to me. Now, for this next round, Moritani begins, and to end this round, I would just like to say Moritani and Vernius are tied for first place at 9 victory points, and I am at second place with 8 victory points. This is a very close game. It could be anyone. Now, remember, the reason why it's especially dangerous for them is that I win tiebreakers because I have the Chimurki card. So I've got to try to get this tiebreaker. I've got to try to get 10 victory points. I've got to get a Spice Must Flow and win the conflict. Otherwise, what are we doing here, right? So with that being said, let me draw my next hand, and it's going to be a diplomacy to, oh my God, this is the worst possible hand I could have drawn. You can kiss Spice Must Flow, goodbye. That doesn't mean I'm not going to try to win this anyway. Okay, wait a minute, it's not all lost. I would use diplomacy, take a Hayliner in my first agent phase, get that out of the way, then use my dagger, go to the Mentat space, draw a card, cross my fingers that it's a good card. And then from there, oh, I don't know, go to, what would I do? I could, it's so defeating because I don't see myself winning this game. I just don't see what I could do. In my third agent phase with the Mentat, what could I do? Let's just count my persuasion now. I'm sitting with 3, 5, 6, 7 persuasion. We're going into the 8th round, putting that back. I got to put all the agents back, right? Let's just cross that bridge when we get there. Let's cross the strategy bridge. It's all coming down to this, right? So I got to like think everything through perfectly to make this work. Oh man, okay, so if I use diplomacy, go to Hayliner, second agent phase, go to Mentat, third agent phase, I draw a card, cross my fingers, it's a good card. That would put me down from 7 to 6 persuasion. So if I draw a Lady Jessica, I could get 3 persuasion. That'd be enough for a Spice Must Flow, and then I could win the game. That's the only hope I have. It's the only hope I have. It's the only hope I have. It's the only hope I have. As if my Mentat draws a Lady Jessica. Man. And then it's not, I guess with my Dreadnought, that would put me at 13 combat points, plus I'll have my ambush, so that would be there's a pretty dang good chance I'm going to win this combat. But I have to cross my fingers that these guys don't take the Hayliner space. Let me just see if they've ever used the Hayliner card. I don't want to do it. Let's let it be a surprise. Oh God, they're going to kill me. Moritani, what do you want to do this round? Still suits. Okay, so he bumps his tracker up 1, and that's all he does. He doesn't have troops to add to the conflict. Vernius, don't take Hayliner, don't take Hayliner. He harvests spice. He goes to the Great Flat, where he gets 4 total spice. I'm going to take back 1 of his spice and give him a 5 counter spice. And that spice goes away. He pushes in 2 troops to the conflict, giving him 5 combat points here. Okay, now it goes to my turn. And yeah, I'm going to use my diplomacy to take Hayliner. I'm going to spend 6 spice. 3, 4, 5. And move my agent to Hayliner, bump my tracker up 1, which does nothing for me, but I'd get 2 water out of that and 5 troops. So let's see, here's 5 troops, and yeah, I'm pushing them all into conflict, plus my Dreadnought, which gives me a total of 13 combat points, so that's quite nice. And Oh yeah, so I've got 2 spice left and a ton of Solari. All right, wonderful. Okay, and yeah, so now we're going to go to the second agent phase. Moritani will take Carthag, and he goes over here. He generates himself. He gets himself a Solari because he has a flag there. 1 Solari for him. And he gets himself a troop from his supply to his garrison, and he presses it into combat for 2 points. He moves his Twi'leksu tracker 1, and he destroys the Twi'leksu row card, which reveals, let's see, it reveals subject X137. Let me see how this pans out. Interesting. You buy that for 2 specimen. It gets you to move, when you buy it, a Twi'leksu row space. It lets you go to green spaces and yellow spaces, and if you have 1 genetic marker, you can move your Twi'leksu track 1, and you get 1 persuasion on a reveal turn. Now, what it can do is really of no use at this point in the game, but the fact that I can move my Twi'leksu tracker 1 space when I buy it is good, because if the option is available for some reason after I take the Mentet space, what I could do is, on my next turn is like possibly take Research Station, bump this up 1, get a specimen added there, and then on my reveal turn, spend the specimen to push that forward 1 space, but then I wouldn't be able to buy the subject card, so that would be of no use. Yeah, it would be of no use. I'm just trying to think of possibilities here. Wow, I have a 2 daggers and a Piter debris, so that would give me 3 additional combat points. I get a Spiritual Fervor, adds a specimen, and then it's that Twi'leksu tracker isn't going to be of any use to me. I wouldn't be able to get that last victory point no matter how hard I tried. I guess the only thing I could think of is if I drew, I don't know. If I would, let's see how many Solari I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So what I could theoretically do, actually, this isn't so bad. Okay, get a load of this. Get a load of this. OMG. OMG, I think I've got a plan. When it comes to my turn, I take the Mented space. I draw a card. We all know that happens. I need to then use my Piter Devry on my Mentet turn, my Agent Phase 3, to go to Research Station, push this forward 1. Okay? Draw 2 cards. Cross my fingers that it's an experimentation card. Why would that matter? Because then I would be able to have 3 more specimen. No. Oh, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I need to be able to bump my Research Tracker 2 to get this going. If I can get it all the way over here, I would spend 7 Solari to push it forward 2, spend 3 Solari to move that forward 1 to get the victory point, but there's no way I can see that happening. Man, once again, we're just going to have to cross that bridge when we get there. I basically already have this conflict in the bag, but these guys, again, are so dangerously close to winning the game. It's going to be over at this round without a doubt. So anyways, Vernius, what do you want to do? Oh, yeah. I got my water. I got my troops. Yeah, we did all that. Okay, so now I got to take House of Galdek and shuffle it up. This game is running a little bit long, but it's just because I've been thinking so much. Normally, I can just, speed talk my way through it. I still have a chance that I could get that Lady Jessica, and if that happens, that would be really awesome. He's going to harvest spice for his second agent phase, so he goes to the Haga Basin. He gets himself 3 spice. And he's going to push in his 1 troop into the conflict, pushing him from 5 to 7 points in conflict points, combat points. So from that, it goes to me for my second agent phase. And yeah, I'm left with going to the Mented space. And I get to draw a card where I got to now spend 7 Solari. I'm sorry, 5 Solari. 3, 4, 5 Solari. And I have to draw a card. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm praying I can get a Lady Jessica for the 3 persuasion. Because that would be, well, let's see where I'm at. Let's see here. I'm at 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm at 6 persuasion right now. If I get Lady Jessica, I would have 9 persuasion. That's enough for a Spice Must Flow, and I would get to win this game. So the way I've got to, I just want everyone to know everything's on the up and up. Okay. I'm going to shuffle it where everyone can see. Here. I mean, I'm always playing on the up and up. I never cheat in this game. But I'm just saying, like, if I drew a Lady Jessica at this point in the game, it would be so too good to be true. I would not blame anyone for being like, oh, you cheated, you looked at the cards, which I don't do, but I'm just saying, like, I would understand why somebody would think that that happened. But I assure you, I never would do that. I take my losses like a champ. I don't cheat myself into a win. It all comes down to this. Please be good. Here it is. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's a reconnaissance. Okay, we're not totally lost. I could still go to research station in my, yeah. Oh, brutal, man. Sad. Sad day. Oh, man, I could still try to do something with that. Okay. Agent phase 3, Mauritania, what do you want to do? You want to go to fold space. And that puts your tracker up there in the 3rd spot. That's the 3rd time you've gone to a Spacing Guild space. And Vernius will harvest spice. Wow, look at you go, harvesting spice. You give Mauritania spice because he has a flag there. And you gain 2 spice for yourself. And you don't have any more troops that you can add to the conflict. So that actually works out really very well for me because it goes to my 3rd agent phase where I will now take my reconnaissance. This is where it's all going to happen, you guys. I think I'm going to win. I think I'm going to win. It's all going to work out. Reconnaissance to the research station. I've already drawn my 2 daggers, so I just really have to have things work out. Reconnaissance to research station. Let's see what I'm doing. What am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah. Reconnaissance to research station. Taking my Mentet. Spending 2 water. I think I'm going to win, you guys. I move my tracker here. 1. I get to trash a card. What will I trash? A dagger, I guess. What? Who cares? And I get to draw 2 cards. 1, 2. Yes! Yes! All right. Wow. When I saw Chum Directorship, for a half a second, my heart skipped a beat. I was sad. And then I saw Lady Jessica, and it just all came back. That's 9 persuasion. And I've got a commanding lead in this combat. And also, with Piter and Lady, that's 2 additional combat points. Plus, I have the ambush card. All right. I also get to put a specimen in the Oxalotl tank. You guys, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. 6, 7, 8, 9 persuasion. I'm going to win. I can't believe this is happening. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's go to my reveal phase now. I get to put 2 combat points forward, going from 13 to 14. I get to put a specimen in the axolotl tank, and I'm going to spend 3 specimen to move that tracker. Let's see, you know what I could do is I could spend 3 specimen to get 2 troops and then use rapid mobilization. But I mean, like, I'm going to win this conflict, right? Like, even if they drew a Hayliner, it's not enough. And I still have an ambush. So, yeah, move my Twi'leksu tracker forward 1. And I get 3 Solari because of Chom Directorship. Yay, 3 Solari, as if I need any more of that. I win tiebreakers. Oh, yeah. I also have a dagger as well, so 16 conflict points. Buying a Spice Must Flow. Getting a victory point, putting me at 9 victory points. And now we're going to go into combat. And Moritani, what do you want to do? You're going to bump yourself 1 point. Oh, did Moritani tap at any point his... I'm going to do this because I'm afraid I may have forgotten. And I'm just going to give him 2 additional anyways. Not that it means anything, but just in case I forgot to give him his training drone, I might as well just do that, just in case I forgot. But I don't know if I did. I never did give it to him this round. No, I didn't. So he should be here, actually. So anyway, with that being said, now we go to Vernius, who will gain 1 point of damage. And I'm going to use my conflict ambush card to give myself 4 points, might as well. And I'm winning. So with that, I'm going to, here's what I'll do. Bump my Fremen tracker 2 points up. I get a water for having done that. And I get the alliance token. I've got 3 alliance tokens. I now am at 10 victory points. And I get an intrigue card. Okay, private army. That does me no good. I win 3 spice for having this conflict, which puts me with 5 spice total. There's no way I can beat Vernius, but I still win all tiebreakers. Now, Vernius wins 2nd place. That means he gets 3 spice. So I'm giving him 5 spice and taking back 2. And he gets an intrigue card, and that's not enough to do anything with. And last place is Moritani. So I win. Oh my goodness. It really came down to the line on this one. I cannot believe I pulled this off. It was a miracle that we went from the 6th to the 7th round, and then it was a miracle that we went from the 7th to the 8th round. And by the skin of my teeth, I pulled off a win. So, wow. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I'm really happy with this win because I was able to even get a dreadnought, which is not something I get to utilize very frequently in this game. I'm very happy with myself for having gotten both a Chom directorship and a Lady Jessica. Those are 2 things that don't happen very often. I also played with what is, in my opinion, the 2nd least best character to be in this game, Earl Memnon Thorvald, where Ariana Thorvald is, in my opinion, the worst of them all. She's extremely difficult to use, but this guy is also pretty hard to use, so he's my 2nd least favorite, and I won with him, so that feels good. There's a lot of reasons why I should feel good about this victory. I'm really happy with myself, and it was a lucky win. So it was a lucky win, but also, yes, it required skill. So I'm not going to attribute everything to luck. That said, I'm the Kwisatz Haderach. I'm Admiral Trench. Please remember to like and subscribe and share with all your friends, anybody you know who likes board games like this one, especially if they like Dune Imperium or would like to learn how to play Dune Imperium or would like to play against me at Dune Imperium, that's also something that I'd like to do with people. If anybody's interested, I have a Steam account. I play this game on Dune Digital. So if anybody ever wants to play me, please, let's do it. I've been trying to get the attention of some of the elite players of this game, Bludgeon, and then there's some, I'm in the Discord for this game as well, and I've been talking to people there. And so with that being said, if you think that I would be a challenge for anybody who's extremely good at this game, please put me in contact with them. Reach out to me if possible with some information, and we'll make it happen. I'd really like to try my luck against some of the better players of this game. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you for watching, and bye for now. It's been nice. I win. Yes. Bye for now. Take care.